This episode is brought to you by the Card Network. For the fashionista in all of us this Christmas, gift the latest women's clothing, shoes, and accessories with the Her gift card. Available online at card.gift. Welcome back to It's All Her, the podcast. I'm your host, Jordy Lucas. I'm the founder and editor of It's All Her. I was an actress in a previous life and I'm a mum to a toddler. I've got a lot going on and I have a passion for helping women live simpler, better lives. For the latest in lifestyle and entertainment news, head to itsallher.com. Welcome. How are you this week? It's a fresh week. It's almost Christmas. Which makes me nervous. I was at the shops. I mean, it's not even the 1st of December yet and the shops are manic. So I am making myself a list this week and I'm going to try and get all my Christmas gift shopping done. I'm going to give myself a fortnight and then that's it. I'm not stepping foot in another shopping centre for the rest of the year. Now, I am hoping this year that I am not tasked with dessert for Christmas Day because desserts are not my forte. Neither are cakes. I don't know if you follow me on socials, but I royally stuffed up my daughter's birthday cake this year. It was a packet mix. Don't ask. So I thought it would be fun this week to have a chat with the wonderful Alisha Henderson from Sweet Bakes. She makes a living out of baking delicious cakes and delivering them through her amazing concept called Cake Mail. She gives us a few tips and tricks on how to nail dessert this year, but also how to create an Insta-worthy birthday cake for your child, which I need all the help I can get in that department. Here is my chat with Alisha Henderson from Sweet Bakes. Alisha, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. You are a bit of a CAKE-FLUENCER. I've just come up with that word. You run Sweet Bakes and you have over 220,000 followers on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us.
What a lovely intro. I love CAKE-FLUENCER.
Yeah, I've just come up with that word.
I might pinch that. Thank you so much.
So tell me a bit about life before Sweet Bakes.
Well, I don't really know my adult life before Sweet Bakes. I started my business when I was 19 years old. So I've sort of grown up only doing and knowing this, but it certainly wasn't the direction that I thought my life would go. I never thought I was going to be even in the food industry, not a baker, not in the food industry, not someone who spends a lot of time on a platform called Instagram.
Yeah.
So I was actually studying a journalism degree prior to the business. My family work in media in the back end of television. So I thought I'll study a journalism degree. I'm really interested in writing and presenting, and I love all of that. I was working as a dancer. I started doing dance jobs since I was 15 years old. So I was working as a dancer, had that performer nature, and studying this journalism degree when I was baking cookies as a hobby, which just went totally wild, wild on social media. So I was like, oh, okay, right. Maybe we should lean into this and see what happens, and been doing it ever since. So it's been 8 years since then.
Wow.
Still here happily baking.
So when was that moment that you sort of realized, oh, this could actually be like a full-time gig?
Yeah, I think I just read the room in terms of what I was putting out on Instagram. Just sort of started getting strangers. It wasn't even the support necessarily from family and friends that made me realize, oh, this could be a business. It's when strangers started to notice what I was doing online. And I suppose being a dancer and a uni student, I was like, cash flow issues. So if I start selling these, make a bit of extra pocket money while I study. And I was like, okay, hold on, there's more than just pocket money here if I put myself like fully into this. So just being really attentive of what was going on around me and what people were asking, and they were really asking me to bake. So I was like, okay, we can try this, and of course, you can defer uni and always go back to that. So it didn't necessarily feel that risky to follow.
Yeah.
excitement. And yeah, I feel so lucky that I am still doing it. Poor uni degree. My parents were like, "Oh, really? Baking?" I'm like, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
At least they get good desserts every time you go over.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it has become the opposite issue. We're like, please, no more cake. I'm like,
Really?
can't taste this anymore. Please stop. Such a first world problem.
Yeah. What would you say in those 8 years that you've been running this business? What have some of the biggest challenges been?
Isn't there so many challenges?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my business is built on the fact that everything I've done has been a mistake, and then I've learned to do it right.
Yeah. Okay.
So the challenges are great. I totally embrace those things.
Mm.
I think wearing all of the hats is
Yeah.
the challenge. I like that because it's such a great opportunity to teach yourself new skills. But I mean, I am not just the baker, I'm the dishwasher, I'm the delivery driver, I have been the accountant. I've done so many of those different parts, the marketer. So really wearing so many hats and taking on that pressure is certainly the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
It's nice now. I have the opportunity to identify where my strengths lie and focusing on those things. So I am a creative person and I love focusing on all of that side of things and showing up for my community, both online and in person.
Yeah.
So really focus on that, and then outsourcing anything that I can that isn't comfortable for me is super important. So the financial side of stuff, not for me.
Yeah.
Just not for me. So
not my bag.
Yeah, not going to pretend that it is. So I outsource all of that side of my business. I work with an amazing accountant. And that would be something that I encourage all small business owners to do. Like, look at where your skill set is.
Yeah.
Focus on that. Outsource the rest. So for me with the accountant, and that it doesn't have to be going to the most fancy, expensive accountant or lawyer or whatever it is that you need. There's so many entry level things for businesses. Like there's places like H&R Block where you can go and get your BAS done for like $99 and stuff like that. Like you don't have to be spending heaps of money.
Yeah.
Just identifying where your strengths are so you can focus up and free your time, because your time is the most valuable thing that you have.
Yeah.
Your time for things you're not interested in, to focus on for me, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we like.
Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about Cake Mail?
Sure. Yeah. So Cake Mail is a concept and a name that I coined 7 years ago to streamline a side of business that just wasn't suiting me. So when I was doing the wedding cake scene, I had to have consultations with brides and grooms all the time. And it felt quite difficult, not only to schedule in time that we could meet, but I would have to bake like 10 flavors for them to try every single time, which seemed really silly to me, and a lot of wasted cake. Or wasn't wasted, I ate it, but not smart. So I thought, how can I streamline this process and make it easy for everybody? I thought, once a month I will send out these packages of cake with all of the different samples. The cakes are all shelf stable. We'll pop them in overnight post and send them out to everybody.
Yeah.
So I did that. And the reaction from not just brides and grooms, but people online and all my clients were like, can we just be involved with this? Like, we are not getting married. This is amazing. Who doesn't want cake in the mail? So
delivered. Yeah,
exactly. It's so much fun. So that was where the idea started. And from that outset, it wasn't something that I wanted to own. It wasn't a sweet bakes thing. It was like this idea that cake in the mail should be embraced by all bakers and just a way to streamline that process. So it really took off. And now, bakers across the world use that concept for their samples. I sort of stopped doing wedding cakes and left that side of the business behind for a few years until COVID happened, because I was working on teaching other people how to bake and touring as an author and doing that sort of thing. So when those opportunities ceased to exist during COVID, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And going back to that reading the room, I was like, what can I do that's also going to make people happy? So I thought reviving Cake Mail, that everyone who had asked me for years, can we have this? We're not getting married. I'm like, today is your lucky day. We're doing it. It's back and it's for everybody. So I popped it up online and said, we're going to do this one dispatch, Cake for Australia. Jump online. And it sold out in like 8 minutes or something outrageous. It just went crazy, totally crazy. At this time, I was not in a commercial premises. So
Yeah.
my parents' kitchen was still registered with the council. So I baked it all from their home kitchen. There was
Wow.
boxes everywhere, just like it was chaos, absolute chaos. We got them all out and everybody loved it. And it seemed like, as we've now come to learn, COVID wasn't going anywhere. So
No.
I think, touch wood. I think we're done now. I think we're done. I hope we're done. I was like, okay, people still want this and COVID's still around. So let's keep it going. So I moved into a commercial premises. And twice a month, Cake Mail Club goes out to, it's not a subscription service. People just jump online and try to snap them up. The theme changes every month too. We've had a lot of fun with that. There's had everything from Halloween theme to a free Britney box.
Oh my God.
Like
love that.
Yeah, like we have some fun with it. And it gets sent out to people all across Australia, which especially during COVID has been so lovely. Like there's been rural places that like we find it so hard to access things here, or I don't have a cafe that I can go to in my 5K radius, knowing that they could get something that made their day a little bit brighter in places like that was really beautiful. And the Cake Mail hashtag was something that we really propelled to for other bakers to jump on board with as a community. You were all sort of highlighting each other, sharing each other's work and saying, use this to keep your business afloat, but also make people super happy.
Because I imagine, well, it's not even imagining, the people that bake wedding cakes, like their businesses would have struggled so much through this time.
Watching, it's been really hard to watch. I feel so fortunate in a way that I wasn't in that game before this all happened, but watching all of my friends in the industry having to work, it's been so difficult. It's not just the fact that weddings were cancelled, it's like, and now they're being rescheduled. So the work that you were meant to do 18 months ago that you'd maybe already been paid for, and that money that was in the business isn't there anymore. 18 months later, they're still trying to fulfill those orders and things like that. So this concept of, Cake Mail has kept them alive during that time, but now they've got the backlog of all the weddings, which is great. It's great. We're celebrating and doing the wedding thing, but it's certainly, the events industry was hit extremely, extremely hard over that time.
You mentioned just before that you did book touring. How did that opportunity come about to write a book? A children's book?
I know. It's so funny when you write a children's book and you don't have kids. And like, there's not many small people in my life. So I'm like, I don't know if this was about my brain, but so I had, the opportunity, a publisher. There was, I think, a TV pilot circulating somewhere in their atmosphere at one point. So they noticed me through there and reached out to me and said, hey, we've looked you up. We really like what you're doing. Do you want to write a cookbook? And I said, I've actually got this other idea, because a year prior, I think I was in the bath or in the shower, when you just get deep in one of those weird lines of thought. I was thinking about how cupcakes get all the glory because they're so beautiful and look pretty, but muffins are so delicious. That was where my brain was. I was like, well, a muffin is a really good metaphor for inner beauty. And like, as soon as I thought about that, I'm like, oh my God, I have to write a children's story about this. So I grabbed out my iPhone and quickly in the notes in my iPhone, I had this story, and it sat there for a year until they reached out. And I was like, I've got another idea, and they loved it. So Millie Muffin is the story that I wrote and also illustrated, which was really fun because I'm always painting on cakes, and cake is my art form. So transitioning that art onto pages in watercolor was a real challenge, but I think she came up really cute. So cute. Yeah, I've been happily doing that for the last 2 years. I think she's been out and was touring through schools. And kids seem to really respond to a message that is told through food.
It's universal, it's like that one, isn't it?
It's like, you will learn about this, and I don't know if that's why you like it. I think it's about the cake. I think it's the cake.
So for us mums who are amateur cooks and bakers, you probably just would have shuddered if you'd seen what I whipped up for my daughter's second birthday during lockdown.
Are you underselling it? I'm sure.
Oh, no, I'm not. I am not. I managed to stuff up a packet mix cake. Like, it's so bad.
Oh, girl.
I know. Terrible. What are some tips for us amateur mums
Okay.
making our kids cakes for a birthday, because I feel like with Instagram especially, it's become like there's pressure to
There's so much pressure
have a great cake for your kids' party.
Isn't there? I totally see that too. I'm like, the Woolies mud is no longer.
No, that is not good enough.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, if you do want a spectacular cake, please go and ask a baker to make that for you. It does crack me up, and we always laugh when we see on like Facebook community groups or all the Pinterest fails and all the party hacks. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Just outsource that one. But the biggest and best thing that you can do is give yourself time to make the cake. I think people forget that. I think you can wake up on the morning of the party and bake, let it cool, and ice this magnificent creation. It doesn't work like that. Like it takes bakers at least 3 days to make that beautiful cake that you end up with. So spacing it out, being like, okay, today I'm going to bake the cake. Tomorrow I'm going to maybe start icing it. On day 3, I'm going to finish off all the decorations. Space it out, because you do not want to be waking up on party morning.
Yeah.
And trying to do that thing. No.
Yeah, that's another mistake I've made actually. Is oh my God, I'm really I put the icing on the hot cake, didn't register that it was going to melt.
Yes, I've seen that quite a few times. Like,
wow.
To cool down. You're learning, baby. It cracks me up when people say they can't bake. I'm like, but you can read.
Yeah.
I think it's the impatience thing that people have is generally why it goes askew.
And probably not spacing it out. That's a really good tip.
You're so welcome. I look forward to seeing you next year.
Don't expect big things from me.
No, I've got complete faith in you. Also, my favorite thing to say about cake is there's always a back. I'm like, as long as it looks good from one angle, it's always a back. Like, if the front's fine, don't turn around.
And of course, we've got Christmas coming up. I don't know if your skills transfer into other desserts, or is there like a foolproof Christmas cake or dessert that we can whip up on the day to impress our friends and family?
I think Christmas is made for pavlova, right? Like, you
have
to have a pav in summer or in Christmas. It is relatively easy to whip one of those up, but I'm not opposed to buying a pre-made one. That's fine. Yeah. There's some beautiful tutorials online of like how to make beautiful like mango roses and decorative strawberries. If you're going to cheat or looking for something easy, you can go with store-bought. I'm going to allow it. Fine.
Just this once.
Yeah. But then just decorating it really beautifully with fresh fruit and maybe some flowers and those sort of bits and pieces is a nice little Christmas hack.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on Christmas Day too. You don't want to. And people I'm normally the biggest advocate of please eat the cake, particularly at weddings and things like that, because it does get forgotten about. But on Christmas, so much food.
Oh, yeah, so much.
Locally dessert.
Yeah. So we're all about keeping life simpler and better. How do you do that for yourself?
I think when I feel like things are overcomplicated is that feeling of being on that hamster wheel and that's the end in sight and you're running at full pelt and there's so much going on and the pace is fast. There's no end in sight. That hamster wheel feeling is the worst for me.
Yeah.
So simplifying my business and my life is about identifying what is important to me. Something that I've come to realize that I cherish not in just business, but in life is my freedom and flexibility. I get to dictate when I'm working every month, how many days I'm going to do. I mean, I know that I'm very privileged to do that, but that is, what I cherish the most is that freedom and flexibility. So I start my day by writing a list of goals that I have for that day. They can be really small ones too. Like wash the dishes today at work, like just stuff like that. Really small list of goals. Yeah. And then working out what the bigger picture things I am focusing on, because I don't think you can be chasing all of your big dreams at once.
Yeah, totally.
Focusing on one. So I write every single day, like what I'm focusing on today, really small, tangible stuff, the bigger picture, the broader focus of the direction I'm heading in, all my big dreams, and then one particular goal that I'm like, okay, and we're actively taking steps towards that today. That makes my life feel a lot simpler, particularly when it's written down. I think that there's something about the action of physically writing something down with like pen to paper that gives
I'm exactly the same.
I mean, or even things like you think you have a busy day ahead in your brain and then you start writing, you're like, oh, it's no, it's not that bad.
It's actually manageable.
Not
yeah.
that bad. I can do it. So yeah.
Amazing. Alisha, thank you so much for joining us. Where can our listeners find you on Instagram?
They can find me at Sweet Bakes on Instagram, where we have lots of fun. It's a happy cake-filled space over there.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of It's All Her. If you have loved this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Share it with a friend. I'll be back in your ears very soon.